Today I want to talk about the conflict that nobody wants, but every leader needs to face. Hi, I'm Jennifer. I'm a coach and consultant helping professionals master difficult conversations and lead with confidence under pressure. So let's talk about the one word that makes most leaders break into a cold sweat: conflict. Yep, that unavoidable tension, that awkward silence in the meeting, that we need to talk moment, cue the eye twitches and the tight smiles. But here's a plot twist. Conflict isn't the problem. Avoiding it is. I've been there so many times. Sometimes we think that it's easier to avoid the elephant in the room as much as possible, but what I found is that it grows in time and feels like you are carrying around a weight that we all don't need, right? We have enough stress, enough in our lives on top of carrying around something that we're not addressing. I had a situation where someone on my team created daily conflict for me. Every time we met, it felt like they were picking a fight with me for no apparent reason. It was someone who was a peer on my team, but at a lower level, and was more of a junior person. And they would always seem to be on the defense side of the coin, and oftentimes would get very loud with me, almost yelling, and it was very uncomfortable. I put up with it for a while, but then one day I totally snapped out. I was on a call and she started yelling, and I just excused myself from the call. And I called my boss because I had had enough. I had this conversation alluding to her actions in one of my one-on-ones, and probably many of my one-on-ones, but my boss never seemed to take action to try to resolve it. The more and more he ignored the situation, the worse it became, and I ended up getting another leader involved to resolve the situation. I know it's not the best political game putting your boss in that kind of position of potentially making them look bad, but if this didn't get resolved, I was out anyway. I was not putting up with the games. And when you think about it from a leadership perspective, I put myself back in that seat as a leader, as a coach, because if I'm putting someone in that compromising position, it's just as bad as what's happened to me in the past, right? And I know how that felt. And I know that potentially when you're not addressing conflict, you have really good and strong and high-performing people on your team that may just get another job and walk away because they're not enjoying their work, because they're in this conflict situation. So it's really our role and our responsibility as leaders to be able to help those that are on our teams and to be able to address conflict even in our own personal day-to-day situations, because conflict doesn't go away as you move up the food chain in corporate structures, or even within your own company. You might have other individuals at higher levels that report to you that the conflict is just the elephant in the room and you're just carrying weight unless you address what's going on. So why is it that avoiding conflict is actually hurting your leadership? You might think that dodging conflict keeps the peace, but in reality, it often leads to frustration, that passive-aggressive behavior, and you guessed it, bigger problems down the line. And you could potentially lose your best employees. A whopping 85% of employees deal with conflict at some point, and 29%, they say that they deal with it almost constantly. And this came from a CPP Global Workplace Conflict and How Businesses Can Harness It to Thrive survey. And when leaders avoid addressing those tensions, teams lose trust, they lose productivity. That takes a hit big time. I think productivity takes a hit big time because they're not in it to win, they're in it just to get through it. And morale tanks faster than a Friday afternoon Zoom call, right? So let's not forget, unresolved conflict, it costs US businesses $359 billion a year in lost productivity. Ouch, right? That's a lot of money when you think about it, right? So what happens when leaders actually address conflict? Leaders who lean in, not away from difficult conversations, they're the ones who build stronger teams, deeper trust, and real innovation because their employees feel valued. And in fact, 60% of employees say that their performance improves after conflict is resolved effectively. Even better, 41% say it helps them understand others better. 33% say it improves working relationships, and 29% says it leads to better solutions overall. So instead of being the villain, conflict becomes the catalyst for clarity, for creativity, and for collaboration. So great leaders don't avoid conflict, they navigate it. So being a leader doesn't mean having all the answers. We never have all the answers, right? Nothing is perfect in this world. And if you are putting yourself in this perfectionist manner when it comes to being a leader of your team, you are going to fail each and every day because we're all human. No matter how high up, whether you're the CEO, whether you are a director, manager, you cannot be perfect. So do the best that you can to be close, right? But it doesn't mean having the courage to face what others tiptoe around. You know, people are tiptoeing around things, but it doesn't make it right. So whether it's a misaligned team, a frustrated colleague, or tension that's been simmering under the surface, those are the worst. The best leaders ask, what conversation am I avoiding right now? And what would happen if I actually had it? Right? Gives you the chills because you're like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna say? But the longer it's not said, the more it brews and the worse it gets. So try this, the clear way to handle workplace conflict. Next time you feel that knot in your stomach, try using this clear approach. C equals clarify the real issue. So not just surface drama. The L in clear is listen fully, no interrupting, and listen to hear, to learn, not to respond. Even if you're slow at responding because you're thinking through things, that's okay. The E is empathize without sugarcoating it, because sometimes people want to hear the good things or they want you to make them feel all warm and fuzzy. And sometimes it's not that. But we can speak with empathy towards a situation or towards someone when we need to redirect, right? The A in clear is assert your perspective with respect. Always be respectful. We don't need to make someone feel small. And the R is resolve it together, or at least take a step forward. So create that dialogue that you're asking questions and you are engaging in a way that this person feels like you're on a team and trying to resolve the situation as a team. So conflict doesn't have to be chaos. With the right tools, it can be the very thing that strengthens your team and makes it solid. It makes you a better leader. So let's turn this over to you. What is one, just one workplace conflict that you handled well? Because I know that you have. Or maybe ones that you have not handled so well. Something that taught you something big and grand. Let me know in the comments or forward this to a fellow leader who's ready to stop dodging and to start leading the clear way. So because great leaders and great leadership isn't about keeping the peace, it's about making space for real conversations and growth. And that's what I know that you guys all want. So this is something I specialize in and they cover inside the CLEAR method. It's designed to help high achieving professionals show up, speak up, and stand out, even in toxic and difficult environments. So I offer coaching, consulting, and have upcoming courses. Check it out. My website will be in the description below. And if you found this valuable, I hope that you got something out of this. Please consider sharing, please consider subscribing, and we'll see you all next time.